perhaps in this congressional district, we're in the majority. How about Iowa? How about Colorado? How about Florida? There is no path to electoral success for us without Florida. How about Ohio? How about Virginia? How do we persuade? We know what works because you do it in your everyday lives. People know that you care about them. You have their best interest in mind, even if you disagree with them. You use facts. You use your relationship. You're sincere. You're authentic. What doesn't work? Insults don't work. Any of you been married for more than, I don't know, a week? Have you ever insulted your spouse into changing his or her mind? I'm afraid to try, but I don't think it would work. What happens when you insult someone? I can tell you what happens in my household. You get I will not admit you're right until Jesus comes back. That's human nature. Somebody insults us, then we're going to be even more committed to whatever belief we have. So there's a bumper sticker in my hometown on the back of a car that says, "Don't blame me, I didn't vote for the idiot." And I'm sure in my hometown, which is largely Republican, that bumper sticker gets a lot of chuckles. What if you want people who did make a mistake in 2008 or 2012 to see the error of their ways? Do you think that's persuasive, a bumper sticker? Insults don't work. What else doesn't work? Hypocrisy. Telling people to live their lives a certain way while we live our lives another way. Now, I'm not going to name any names, and Judge Duncan is too much of a gentleman to name any names, but when our Republican colleagues don't act right in their personal lives and their professional lives, they need to be gone. We need to act differently. And it shouldn't be up to the voters in the next election. You ought to have enough class and self-respect and respect for your colleagues that you leave on your own. Hypocrisy is the least persuasive thing I can possibly think of. Telling them that this is what's best for your life, and I'm not going to apply it to my own life. So insults don't work. Hypocrisy doesn't work. Having a different set of rules for us than we have for others doesn't work. You know what works. Because you do it in your everyday lives. If you're a spouse or a co-worker, or you have kids, you try to persuade them. Even if it's something as simple as what movie are we going to go to, or what restaurant are we going to eat at. You persuade. And in the political realm, let me tell you, it's okay to communicate just a little bit of hope in the process. Just a little bit. Last fall, my wife made me go to a wedding with her. It's probably not the right way to put it. My wife and I went to a wedding together last fall. But if you want me to go to your wedding, don't get married in the fall. That's what I tell people. But I had to go to this one. So I was watching my phone to see what the score of the football game was, but I could hear out of my ear that same verse you hear at every single wedding. These three things remain: faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. We all know that, right? We can all recite that verse. Did you ever think to yourself that hope must be pretty powerful if it made the final three? These three things remain: faith, hope, and love. Do we communicate hope? When people hear our message, do they think that person really does desire a better life for me? And I don't care who you support in presidential politics, and I'm not endorsing this particular person. I'm just telling you, when I hear him speak, he does a wonderful job of communicating hope. And that's because his life is a story of hope. There are two people in my mind in our party that do the best job. And again, you vote for who you want in the presidential primary, but Marco Rubio, when he talks about his mother going from cleaning up hotel rooms to being the mother of the United States Senator, that inspires hope. And the other one that you may not be as familiar with, but he's my colleague and my delegation mate, and Judge Duncan served with him until he got demoted to the U.S. Senate, and that's a guy named Tim Scott. Tim Scott grew up in a single-parent household, just his mama, but also his grandfather. And every morning at breakfast, his grandfather would hold up the newspaper, wanted everybody to know he was reading it. Wanted Timmy to know he was reading. He would hold it up big, you know how old man used to read the newspaper, spread it all out, the whole world could see it. Because he wanted to communicate to Tim the virtue and the value of education and being informed. And he did that even though he couldn't read. He still can't read to this day. But he had enough hope for his grandson that he faked it. So are we persuasive? You got the message, you got the manner in which you communicate, you're only missing one thing. And that's a messenger. And let me tell you, I grew up, I got 3 sisters, a mom, and you go into my dad's study, and you would think that he was a bachelor with no kids. You don't see pictures on his desk. You don't see pictures of my mom, even though she's beautiful. You don't see a picture of my 3 sisters, even though they're mean. Even though they're beautiful. You don't even see a picture of my dad's favorite, one of my sisters, which would be my middle sister, and we don't know it. You see a picture of a guy in a cowboy hat named Ronald Reagan. That was my dad's hero. That is my dad's hero. If we are waiting around on another Ronald Reagan or another Abraham Lincoln, I think we're going to have a long, fruitless wait. I don't think the times will allow it. I don't think our culture will allow it. I don't think the media will allow it. This white knight riding in on a horse. Call me cynical. If we're waiting on somebody to come in and save us, I don't see that person. Not in politics, I don't. And it is overwhelming to work in a city where you actually fly into an airport named for Reagan and into a city named for Washington. And you pass the Jefferson Memorial and the Lincoln Memorial, and every street is named after somebody famous, and every building is named after somebody famous. And when the judge and I walk through Statuary Hall, there are all these statues of famous people, and then you go into committee rooms, and there are all these portraits of these famous people. It's overwhelming. And then you think to yourself, well, this country wasn't just built by famous people. I don't lean up in my airplane seat anymore to see the monuments. I will lean up in my airplane seat to see one thing. And that is the beautiful, gently rolling hills of green grass punctuated by elegant white crosses at a place called Arlington. I will lean up in my airplane seat to look at that. Because that's really what built this country. It wasn't famous people whose names we know. It was just virtuous people whose names we don't know. So if you're waiting on a messenger, you know what their message to you would be? If you could just get out of the plane and walk along all that service and sacrifice. You know what I think you'd hear? Here's the first question I would ask them: was it worth it? Are we what you sacrificed and served and died for? Was it worth it? And I suspect the answer would be yes. But you know what they'd say back to you? What are you doing? I've done mine. I've served. I sacrificed. In some instances, I gave my life. What are you doing? I gave you a good country. What are you passing on? So let me tell you, friends, the messenger is you. I can't persuade in your neighborhood. I can't persuade at your church. I can't persuade at your place of work. They don't know me. They know you. So if you want to change the direction of this country, you want to win in 2016 and beyond, you be able to tell people what you believe and why you believe it, and you communicate that in an authentic, sincere way, where the listener believes that you care about them and they're inspired by the hopeful nature of your message. But you make no mistake about it. This is going to work. We're going to be successful. The messenger is you. God bless you.